Hey there YouTube, I'm back and I'm here to show you another little thin PC. This right here is the HP T5500 and it's powered by a Transmeta Crusoe processor. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that was a short-lived processor. Actually, it probably still lives on in different kind of embedded systems, but not in computers anymore. And I have this little guy here running Windows 98. So I'm gonna be showing you what it looks inside, what I've done to set it up with Windows 98, and how it performs running some common games and applications. So let's get started. So I did acquire several of these units, and most of them work perfectly fine, as you can see in this one here. But some of them arrived dead on arrival. So in this particular case, I'm pretty sure this one is dead. It doesn't power on because some of the capacitors have pretty much blown up. But maybe in a later video, I will attempt to repair these because that would also be an interesting thing to see if we can make these work. But for now, I can use this to show you what one of these thin clients looks like internally. So as you can see here, there is most of the components in this model are soldered on the motherboard, with the exception of the Flash IDE module. This is the hard drive that uses a 2.5 millimeter style like hard drive connector to connect on the board, and that goes here on this header on the board. And what I've done here to get these running Windows 98 is I've removed the low capacity ones that are on the machine itself and replaced it with a higher capacity model. In this case, it's a 1 gig solid state disk that holds Windows 98 and the apps that I have installed. These machines come with 64 megabytes of onboard RAM, which is pretty much the bare minimum that I would ever run Windows 98 with. But it runs well, especially for DOS games, and it does a good job. So I haven't had any issues with it. And Windows 98 does tend to use virtual memory on the solid state disk to make up the difference when an app needs more memory. So given that this is a 533 megahertz CPU, it performs really well. So yeah, underneath here is the Transmeta Crusoe processor, and I'll take this off in a second to let me see if I can just do that right now. Can take off these clips because this chip is kind of cool to see, and this one. All right, and if we kind of rock this back and forth, there you go, to break off the thermal paste. And you ready? This is the Transmeta Crusoe chip. It's kind of a cool design. Looks like an Athlon CPU, but it's a Transmeta Crusoe. And these chips were very interesting because they run x86 microcode that we're used to from Intel and AMD through some software emulation that is built into this chip. So they translate like in real time instructions from x86 instructions to their own native instructions, and that was kind of interesting in their architecture. So you can read more about that I'll put a link to the Wikipedia article for this CPU in let me flip it around so you can see the I'll put a link to the Wikipedia article on this CPU. And look, it was made in Canada in 2010. So that's the CPU. Another cool thing about this machine is that it has an ATI Rage XL video chip, and this is the memory module that is for that. The irony is that I believe this actually uses memory from the system for the video as well. So from 64 megs, we are left with 56 megabytes of usable memory. And then it has a VIA chipset with a VIA sound chip, which I believe is this guy right here. And the nice thing about this chipset is that it's one of the sound chips that works with the VIA DOS drivers, and I do have that set up in this machine. So we have SoundBlaster emulation in DOS using a TSR. Anything else I can show you here? Yeah, I can show you the rear. One thing that you'll notice is there is no PS2 port for a keyboard, and we all know, well, not all of us, but if you're not familiar with it, Windows 98 doesn't come with native USB support. I've added it here on this installation using some of the known ways that we can add some of the Windows Millennium drivers to Windows 98 to get USB drives and USB devices working correctly. But even with that, getting this to recognize a USB keyboard and mouse that it has never seen before is a complicated task. And the way I've managed to do that is by using a USB to PS2 adapter. I've set that up using another keyboard that is recognized without having to have drivers, and now I can plug in any PS2 keyboard that I have laying around, so that I can at least when I'm prompted, I can press enter and install the driver. But yeah, that was a huge hassle getting a keyboard that worked in Windows 98. But I managed to make it happen. So what else? And I have another model down here that I'm gonna go in another video. So make sure you subscribe. The other model has some of the components that this is lacking on the PCB. That one has a memory module that goes here and a PCI slot that goes here, and no onboard memory. So and that one's actually faster. So, but we'll do that in another video. For now, let's stick on this base model because this is the lowest end one, and I'm kind of proud that I managed to make it work. All right, so that's it. I mean, in the back, like I said, you'll have 4 USB ports, an Ethernet port, sound in and out, a VGA port, and a 12-volt AC adapter. On the bottom, you have little holes here for a base, that base right there. And in the front, all you have is a power button. And that's it. It's just a little power button. You press it, and it pushes on a switch that is on the board right there. And one thing that I've noticed here is that this looks like it has support for like an LCD LVDS powered screen. So I guess this board can be used in a different environment where it's in a different case where it's part of like an LCD packaged unit. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, that's all I have to show you on this side. On the other side, there's nothing. It's just like some of the model information and serial number and stuff like that. And these came out in 2004. So yeah, let me switch from showing you this to showing you what the unit can do. All right, so we're gonna start by powering up the unit, and let me show you first how to enter setup here. You press F10, and it's got a typical BIOS like you've seen in other test systems. You see here that we have a Transmeta. Let me see if I can make sure that it's fully focused. Transmeta 5600 running at 533 megahertz, and it's got 1 gig of solid state disk space and it's got 56 megabytes of RAM. Remember that I mentioned that it shares some memory with the video chip. So 64 minus 8 will give us 56. 8 megabytes is what's dedicated for the video chip. All right, so now I press yes, and we're gonna reboot. Shows the splash screen. And the way I have this set up is that you're presented with a Windows 98 startup menu. We can go straight to DOS, or we can go to Windows. So I'm gonna start with DOS, because DOS, I have some cool stuff here. I have most of the games that I have here run purely in DOS, and I want to show you that before we go into Windows. All right, so I'm gonna press Command Prompt only, and we end up here in this command prompt. Okay, so from this command prompt, what we can do here now is, you can check your directories and things like that. But one thing that I have enabled here is the sound support. Well, I haven't enabled it. I have to enable it manually because this special card in here, the sound card, uses special drivers that need to be installed into resident memory. So I have a little bash script called sound on, and it goes ahead and uses via SoundBlaster config file to set the SoundBlaster emulation on for this this chip, and it'll set it for an address of 220 with an IRQ of 5 and DMA1. It also sets MPU and joystick values, but those are not really available in DOS. But we do have SoundBlaster support, and I'll show you what this SoundBlaster soundon.bat looks like. It basically just sets the blaster variable, and it runs this via SoundBlaster config file, which displays this this output. And now that we have SoundBlaster support enabled in DOS, we can go into the games directory here, and we can try some other things. So we have Duke 3D, and I previously ran setup here. If you go to setup, you can go to sound setup, and if you choose sound effects card, I have it SoundBlaster, and it's set for 220, 5 and 1 and 5. Just like the output in the sound on batch file showed, and we'll use those settings with 8 voices, stereo sound, 44 kilohertz, and I'll test it out and see what happens. Oh, I have to put the volume up. Let me put the volume up because that was way too little, way too low. All right, let's see. All right, so that was it. I have this little USB speakers that are playing the music. So the music in DOS doesn't quite work. In Windows 98, it does work, and I'll show you that in this game afterwards, so you can see that the general MIDI does work. But in DOS, I haven't been able to get the music to work. So you should hear the Duke Nukem theme song, but yet I don't. And no matter what I choose here, if I use SoundBlaster test music card, again, it doesn't work. I haven't figured that out. But in Windows 98, general MIDI does work. So I'm going to put it back to general MIDI and leave it like that. All right, so I'm going to exit. I'm going to save and launch Duke 3D. And I'm going to go in there.
Let's rock. Nobody steals our chicks and lives.
Okay, so you can see it works pretty well. Go over here and works pretty well in DOS. It's very performant. And okay, if I go here and I press this, now I can go. Well, that's Duke 3D. And let me see what else I have here. I have Warcraft 2. Again, I've gone ahead and run setup and set up all the sound values. Oh, I don't have any mouse setup in DOS. I haven't done that yet. So I'm gonna not show you that right now. I'm gonna show you something else. I'm gonna show you Quake. Now, Quake detects the sound automatically. See, right here. So we'll just go ahead and play that. Oh. And I guess it doesn't really play audio well in DOS. So that's one thing that, you know, some games will work well in DOS with sound and some won't. Like Descent. Some of the earlier games will work perfectly fine because they okay, I guess the previous this is the stuff that happens when you're doing like live demos. The previous game left the sound system in a weird state. So let me just give it a try again by rebooting. Sound on. Then we go to games. Let's try Quake again. I thought this worked in DOS. There you go. Yeah, so sometimes okay, so what happened there? The previous game, which was Duke 3D, when it exited, it probably left the sound buffers or something dirty. So by restarting the computer, and reloading the memory, the sound driver into memory, caused the sound system to reset itself, and that allowed other games to work. So if I go to Descent now, I wonder if it'll work without, and if it's just like without me having to reboot. Yeah, so I guess Duke 3D left the sound system in a weird state. So you can see here, this is Descent, and it runs really well. It's you know, the little Transmeta Crusoe CPU can handle this easily. So let me import this game and quit here. All right, so now I'm going to show you how this works with music under Windows 98. So I'm going to reset, and instead of going to DOS, we're going to go into Windows. All right, so here we are in Windows 98, and I actually like running these games on this machine through Windows 98. Even though there's a little slight performance hit, you get everything else working without dealing with mouse drivers or sound drivers or anything like that. and you'll get the music, you'll get the sound effects, you get the mouse support. So let's try that again with Duke 3D. Okay, I'm gonna load Duke 3D here. And you get the music. You see, you get the whole entire gameplay and the music, and let me lower the volume a little bit. And yeah, so now I can play LA Meltdown, Let's Rock. And as you can see, I'm moving the mouse over here, and everything works as expected. Can use the arrow keys to move around, and then the mouse to shoot and aim and shoot. And I'll go. I am awful, by the way. I am not a gamer. I'm a computer guy. Computer and car guy, not a gamer. But you know, I can aim and shoot. Alright, so you get the idea. Everything works in Windows 98 as expected, including music and sound. So, you know, that helps a lot. Alright. And I can show you that in Warcraft 2, for example. You'll get mouse support, you get the sound, you get everything. You go in there. You see, my mouse is right there. Single player game, custom scenario, I don't know, start game. And it's very fast. Can move around.
Hello. Yes, right.
I forgot how do you play this game. I guess now I have to find money and build stuff, but you know, everything works.
Lord.
I have to build something. How do I build? Build basic structure, build farm, barracks, build a farm. Oh, probably shouldn't have done that next to the gold thing, but anyway, you get the point. Everything works. End scenario, exit program, and we're back in Windows. All right, so that's it. That's the little HP computer that lets you play your old favorite DOS games, and it also lets you play music using SoundBlaster emulation, and it does a pretty good job. So to finish off this video, I am gonna start playing a song, a mod song, as I do in some of my other videos, like just to wrap things up. If you like this kind of stuff, make sure you subscribe, and because I post videos every week or so, every week or two, and it's a mixture of things. Sometimes it's car related, sometimes it's computer related, but I like to do strange things where I look at vintage computers or make something happen with a computer that was not designed to do what I'm doing here. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like to see anything else tried on this computer, let me know. And check out my other videos, because I have some cool stuff with Packard Bells or other thin clients that run Windows XP, and some cool stuff. So I'll let you go now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and check out this song.